I was on a mission in Syria when my wife's boss called. The desert was quiet that night. Too quiet. I had grown used to silence, broken buildings, dust settling over corpses, the occasional crack of a sniper's rifle far in the distance. But the phone in my vest vibrated with something different, something that cut deeper than bullets, a number I didn't recognize. Civilian, stateside. I answered. A man's voice oozed through the line, smug, deliberate. "She's pregnant with my baby, soldier boy." I froze. Sand clung to my lips. My heartbeat stayed steady, but my hand tightened around the grip of my rifle. Behind him, faint but sharp, I heard her, my wife. Her voice was sharp, mocking. "He's just a weak mechanic anyway." And then, my son. His voice broke through the static like glass under boots. "Mom!" The man laughed, deep and confident, like he had already won. "He won't be coming back. I sent my man to finish him. You were too blind to see who you're really dealing with." The line went dead. My reflection stared back from the black phone screen. Dirt, blood, and a calmness that unsettled even me. They thought I was just a mechanic. They had no idea who I really was. I didn't let the words shake me, not on the surface. Out here, weakness got you killed. But the echoes rang louder than mortar fire. Pregnant. With his child. My wife. The one I had built my life around, reducing me to nothing more than a weak, absent man. And my son. The only innocent voice in that chaos, asking for me while being fed lies. I replayed the call. Each word dissected, each pause analyzed. I knew psychological warfare when I heard it. This wasn't just a taunt, it was calculated, coordinated. And yet, underneath the precision, there was something personal. This man, her boss, he wanted me to feel it. He wanted me to bleed inside while my body fought wars outside. But I didn't bleed, not yet. I swallowed the betrayal like poison, slowly, letting it burn through me, steady, controlled. Out here, surrounded by broken walls and hostile eyes, I knew two truths. One, betrayal at home was more lethal than bullets overseas. Two, silence was the sharpest blade I had. I said nothing. To my men, to my commander, to anyone. Instead, I waited. Weeks later, when the mission ended and I was back on U.S. soil, I didn't go home immediately. I went to work. I traced phone records. The call had come from his office line. Arrogant, sloppy. I checked bank statements, subtle withdrawals matching hotel receipts. I found her messages buried in cloud backups she didn't know I controlled. Half-sent drafts, unsaved notes, the digital fingerprints of a guilty conscience. And then, the doctor's appointment confirmations. Her boss's name listed as emergency contact. Not mine. I remained calm. Each discovery was a slow twist of the knife, but I didn't flinch. Externally, I smiled. Came home with gifts for my son. Kissed her forehead like nothing had changed. Watched her eyes flicker with the weight of secrets. Every night, she slept beside me. Every night, I stayed awake, building the case like an architect of destruction. DNA test kits. One for my son, one prepared for the unborn. I didn't need her permission. I only needed patience. Patience is what separates survivors from casualties. The envelope came back. Thin, sterile, unassuming, but it carried the weight of an atom bomb. One word on the page stripped everything bare. Not the father. My hands didn't shake. My pulse didn't spike. My breathing stayed even. I waited until dinner. The three of us at the table. My son eating quietly, unaware of the storm. I placed the envelope beside her plate, didn't open it, didn't speak, just watched. She hesitated, fork trembling, opened it, read. Color drained from her face. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Panic swelled in her eyes, drowning her. I leaned in, voice cold. I already knew. She broke, stammering, crying, begging. Theatrical displays of regret. But they washed over me like wind against stone. The next day, I walked into her boss's office. No threats, no rage, just silence. I laid the second envelope on his desk. The same test, same truth. His smugness cracked when he read it. The confidence drained, leaving only a man stripped of his illusion of power. "You don't understand," he started. I cut him off with a single look. Calm, steady, lethal without a weapon. I always understand. That's what makes me dangerous. He shifted, sweat gathering at his collar. He realized what I already knew. He had stepped into a war he wasn't built for. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't touch him. I just left the papers, the silence, and the crushing weight of his exposure behind. When she called later, begging for another chance, I didn't answer. Her boss didn't show up to work the next week. His reputation was gutted, quietly, efficiently. All it took was the truth, and I made sure the right people saw it. I moved out that night, packed only what belonged to me and what my son would one day need to know the truth. No note, no explanation, only absence. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger was temporary, and I was permanent. They had called me weak, a mechanic, a disposable soldier too far from home to matter. But weakness is what you show when you scream, when you beg, when you collapse under the weight of the truth. I showed them something else: silence, control, the kind of strength that terrifies people more than violence ever could. As I closed the door for the last time, I felt nothing. And that nothing was everything. They thought betrayal would break me, but all it did was sharpen the blade I already was.